Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they talk themselves out of trying. The voice inside your head, what you say to you, matters more than what anyone else ever says about you. And yet we often speak to ourselves in ways we would never speak to someone we love. We criticize, we doubt, we repeat every failure like a broken record. We call it being honest, but really it's self-inflicted sabotage dressed up as humility. If you talk to a child the way you talk to yourself, how confident would that child be? If every time they tried something new, you said, "You're not ready, you always mess things up," or "You're not good enough," how long would they keep trying? Probably not long, and yet we tell ourselves these exact things and then wonder why we feel stuck, unmotivated, and small. The first step to believing in yourself is learning to speak to yourself like someone you actually care about. This is not about empty self-help affirmations. It's about rewriting the story that's playing in your mind, because your words are seeds. Speak defeat and you'll grow fear. Speak life and you'll grow faith. The mind hears everything you say. Every "I'm not good at this," every "I could never," every "I always mess up," those become instructions your brain follows. When you constantly rehearse your limitations, you train your mind to operate in a state of lack. You shrink your imagination, dull your drive, and make failure feel like a permanent label instead of a temporary lesson. But the moment you begin speaking to yourself with power, everything shifts. Instead of saying, "I'm not ready," say, "I'm preparing." Instead of saying, "I don't have what it takes," say, "I'm growing into what it takes." That one change in tone makes space for hope, and where hope lives, action follows. To be clear, this isn't about pretending you're perfect. It's about refusing to label yourself by your weakness. You are not your worst day. You are not your past mistakes. You are becoming, and if you want to become powerful, start by speaking power. Here's a practical truth. Your brain believes what it hears most often. If you tell yourself you're broken, your brain will find proof to validate it. But if you tell yourself, "I am capable, I am chosen, I am valuable," even when you don't feel it yet, your mind will begin shifting its filter. You'll see new opportunities. You'll show up with more confidence. You'll move through challenges with a mindset of growth, not defeat. Let me give you a real example. I once worked with a young entrepreneur named Rachel. She had all the talent, brilliant ideas, great communication skills, and a heart for impact. But she couldn't get herself to launch her business. Every time she came close, she would say, "I'm not ready," or "What if no one buys?" or "Who am I to do this?" Her self-talk was eroding her own vision. One day I asked her, "Would you ever say those things to your younger sister if she was chasing a dream?" She looked shocked and said, "Of course not. I'd tell her she's brilliant and brave and that she can do anything." I said, "Then why don't you get that version of you?" That moment was her shift. She started writing one sentence of truth each morning. Statements like, "I have what it takes to build something great. My ideas matter. I'm a beginner, but I'm bold." At first, she didn't believe them, but over time, those words soaked in. They built a foundation of inner trust, and guess what? She launched her business 3 months later and tripled her income in 6. But the income wasn't the real win. The real win was the identity shift. She stopped talking herself out of greatness and started speaking herself into it. Here's the truth. You don't have to wait until you feel confident to speak confidently. Confidence is not a requirement, it's a result of consistent, empowering language over time. So today, I challenge you to listen to your inner dialogue. Would you say those things to your best friend? Would you say them to your child? If not, it's time to rewrite the script, because how you talk to yourself is how you shape your future. Speak life, speak truth, speak power, not because you've arrived, but because you're on the way. And greatness follows the one who dares to believe it's already within them. One of the greatest reasons people never achieve the life they desire is simple. They don't actually know what they want. They talk about success in vague, wishy-washy language. They say, I just want to be successful, or I want to make a lot of money, or I want to be happy. But here's the truth. Clarity creates confidence and confusion kills it. If you can't define it, you can't pursue it. You can't hit a target you haven't even taken time to see. That's why the first major step in believing in yourself and achieving something meaningful is to get radically clear on what you want and, more importantly, why you want it. When your vision is unclear, you hesitate, you second guess, you procrastinate, and you wonder why nothing is moving in your life. It's because you haven't taken the time to sit down, remove the noise, and articulate a specific dream. You haven't said, this is what I'm building, and this is why it matters. The mind can't engage with fog, but when your purpose is sharp and focused, your spirit aligns behind it. Your brain starts solving problems for that vision. You begin moving in alignment with what you truly desire. Let me make it plain. Stop saying, I want to be rich. What does that mean? Do you want financial freedom? Do you want to be able to take care of your parents? Do you want to fund a school in your hometown? Do you want to travel the world with your spouse? What does rich actually mean to you? Until you define it, your belief will never lock in. Vague dreams create vague energy, but specific goals pull you forward. And once you've defined what you want, you have to get even deeper. You have to understand why. Because the what gives you direction, but the why gives you fuel. Most people quit when things get hard, not because they're weak, but because their vision isn't emotionally anchored. Your why is what keeps you going when motivation fades. It's what gets you out of bed when comfort whispers, just stay. It's what makes the struggle worth it. Without a strong why, you'll give up too soon, settle too low, or distract yourself with things that don't really matter. There's a fire that lights inside a person who knows what they want and why they want it. You can see it in their eyes. They may not have all the answers, but they have conviction. And conviction is more powerful than certainty. When you know why something matters to you, you'll run through walls to make it happen. You'll keep going when others quit. You'll find a way when others make excuses. Let me give you a real example. There was a young man named Jason who came to me saying he wanted to build a business and be successful. I asked him, what does that mean? He said, I don't want to work a job forever. I want freedom. That's a start. But then I asked him, what would freedom allow you to do? And after some silence, he opened up. He told me his mother had worked 2 jobs for over 20 years, that she never complained but always looked tired, that she'd sacrificed everything for him to go to college. And he said, if I could build a business that paid her salary so she never had to work again, that's what I want. That's my freedom. You see what just happened? We went from a vague goal, build a business, to a crystal clear vision, retire my mother. That's a real goal. That's a goal that moves your heart. That's a goal you can feel in your bones. And when Jason locked in on that, his whole energy changed. He wasn't just chasing income anymore. He was chasing impact. That why lit a fire in him. He started waking up earlier, staying focused longer, and taking action that scared him. And guess what? 2 years later, he called me and said, I just paid off my mom's house. When you get clear on what you want and why, everything changes. Your time gets more focused. Your decisions get easier. You stop chasing trends and start building legacy. And most of all, your belief in yourself starts to rise. Because now you're no longer wandering, you're walking with direction. So ask yourself today, what's the cool thing I actually want? Not the surface answer, but the real one. What do I want to create, contribute, or experience? And then ask the deeper question, why does that matter to me? What's at stake if I don't do this? Who will it impact if I succeed? When your dream connects to your heart, your belief begins to expand. And once you believe deeply, you'll act boldly. Stop being vague with your life. Define it, declare it, then move like it's already yours. Because clarity breeds confidence, and confident people change the world. One of the most dangerous lies we believe is that we have to feel ready before we start. That readiness is some emotional signal, some magical moment of certainty where everything lines up and we finally feel confident enough to move. But life doesn't work like that. And success never waits on feelings. In fact, the people who do the most extraordinary things in life often begin with shaky hands and a pounding heart. They don't feel ready, they just move anyway. They step out in faith. They make the call. They apply for the opportunity. They launch the idea, not because they're fearless, but because they've learned that action creates belief, not the other way around. We're taught to believe that confidence is a requirement for taking action. But the truth is, confidence is a result of taking action. You don't wait to feel strong to go to the gym. You go to the gym to get strong. In the same way, you don't wait to feel bold to take the first step. You take the first step, and boldness begins to build. Each step you take, even if it's small, stacks belief inside you. That's how belief grows. That's how momentum begins. When you hesitate, when you delay, when you tell yourself you're not quite ready, what you're really doing is feeding fear. Every day you wait, fear grows stronger. It builds a case against your potential. It whispers lies. You'll fail. You'll look stupid. It's not the right time. But fear has no real power unless you let it speak louder than your purpose. The only way to shut fear down is to move through it. And once you act even in fear, the grip it has on you starts to weaken. And let me give you an example. A young woman named Alina wanted to become a speaker. She had a powerful story. She had overcome domestic abuse, started over with nothing, and built a thriving business. But every time she got the chance to speak, she turned it down. She kept saying, I don't think I'm ready. What if I forget what to say? What if I mess up? She kept waiting for the feeling of readiness that never came. One day, an organizer asked her to speak at a women's empowerment event. She was about to decline again, but this time, instead of backing away, she decided to lean in. She said yes. Scared, she felt nervous. The entire week leading up to it, she wrote her talk with trembling hands. She stood behind the stage with a pounding heart. But when she stepped onto the platform and spoke, something shifted. She didn't speak perfectly. Her voice cracked once or twice. But the audience connected with her because she was real. She was bold in her brokenness. And when she walked off that stage, she said something she'd never said before. I think I can actually do this. That moment unlocked something in her. Not because she waited until she was confident, but because she acted before she was. That action became a seed of belief. And she planted it by doing the thing scared. From that one moment came dozens more. She spoke at conferences. She started coaching women. She built an audience. But it all started with one scared yes, one move made without waiting for permission. That's what most people miss. Momentum doesn't require mastery. It requires motion. When you move, your courage compounds. Your faith grows. Your energy shifts. You're no longer someone dreaming. You're someone doing. Too many people are sitting on dreams, waiting for certainty, waiting for the fear to go away, waiting for a perfect moment that will never come. But belief doesn't show up at your doorstep. You have to build it. You have to earn confidence by acting without it. And the more you act, the more you'll believe that you can. There's a moment in every dreamer's life where you must choose comfort or calling, staying safe or stepping forward. Every single person who has done something great felt fear, but they didn't let that fear decide their future. They chose to act anyway. And because of that, they built a life most people only talk about. Here's the truth. You can't grow if you don't go. You can't learn if you don't try. You can't become who you're meant to be if you keep waiting to feel ready. Readiness is a myth. Action is real. Every bold step you take builds muscle in your mind. Every time you show up despite the nerves, you become stronger, more certain, more confident. That's how belief is built, not by sitting and waiting, but by showing up and doing. So what's the thing you've been putting off? The phone call, the application, the video, the launch, the conversation. Do it, not later, now. Not because you feel ready, but because your dream is worth it. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to move while you're scared. And if you do that enough times, one day you'll look back and realize you became fearless by acting before you were. That's how you believe in yourself. That's how you achieve cool things. Who you surround yourself with is either feeding your faith or feeding your fear. There's no neutral ground. The people in your circle either lift your belief or lower it. They either remind you of who you are or convince you to shrink back into who you used to be. You were never designed to believe in yourself all by yourself. Even the strongest minds need reinforcement. Even the most gifted hearts need encouragement. And when your faith starts to wobble, your environment becomes the emergency room. It will either heal you or harm you. Most people underestimate the power of proximity. They think motivation is about working harder or setting bigger goals. But in truth, motivation is often just borrowed belief. When you're surrounded by people who see greatness in you, even when you don't, they lend you the courage to keep going. You don't have to feel it all the time. Sometimes just hearing someone say, "I believe in you," is the fuel that reignites the fire. Faith is contagious. So is doubt. And if you're constantly around people who question your vision, mock your progress, or drag your energy down with negativity, you're swimming upstream every day. That's not discipline, it's sabotage. Think about it. If you plant a healthy seed in toxic soil, it will die, not because the seed is weak, but because the environment wasn't right. You are the same. You can be filled with talent, potential, even a dream from God himself, but if you keep surrounding yourself with people who don't believe in anything beyond survival, people who laugh at vision and live for excuses, that dream will suffocate. Your belief in yourself doesn't just depend on what's inside you, it depends on who's around you. There comes a time when you have to audit your circle, not out of arrogance, but out of alignment, because where you're going requires a different frequency. If someone always questions your motives, belittles your ambition, or reminds you of your failures more than your future, you don't need to hate them. You just need to move them out of the front row of your life. Not everyone deserves access to your becoming. Some people are called to your past, not your future. And if you don't make peace with letting them go, you'll keep dragging dead weight into your destiny. Now let's be clear, this isn't about cutting off anyone who disagrees with you. Growth requires challenge. But there's a difference between correction and corrosion. Correction sharpens you. Corrosion eats away at your belief, your value, your fire. Learn the difference. Protect your faith the way you'd protect a child. Because in many ways, your belief in yourself is a child. It's something vulnerable that has to be fed, nurtured, and protected until it becomes strong enough to stand. Let me give you a powerful example. I once mentored a young man named Darius. He had the heart of a lion, but he was surrounded by chickens. He came from a community where dreaming was dangerous, where anyone who tried to rise was told to stay in their place. Darius wanted to start a business and use it to mentor youth, but every time he talked about it, his so-called friends laughed at him. "Man, you ain't built for that," they said. "Just get a job like the rest of us." And the crazy part, he started believing them, not because they were right, but because they were loud. And when fear is loud and faith is lonely, fear usually wins. One day, Darius decided to attend a business seminar, not because he was ready, but because he was tired of feeling stuck. He walked in feeling small, but he left feeling seen. For the first time, he heard people talk about vision, legacy, wealth, and purpose like it was normal. He met people who encouraged him, challenged him, prayed with him, and reminded him that his dream wasn't crazy, it was called. That weekend didn't just teach him business, it taught him belief. Within a year, he launched his first program. 2 years later, he opened a center for young men in his neighborhood. But none of that happened until he changed his environment. You don't have to burn bridges with everyone, but you do need to build new ones toward your future. Find people who stretch you, not stress you. People who challenge you to rise, not shrink. People who can speak life into your doubt, not add fuel to it. And once you find them, stay close. Build with them, pray with them, grow with them, because your belief will either multiply or die based on the atmosphere around it. There's no shame in admitting you can't carry your dream alone. That's wisdom. Even faith needs fellowship. Even lions roll in pride. So be bold enough to walk away from circles that keep you small, and humble enough to walk into rooms where your dream is safe. You don't need the whole world to believe in you, but you do need a few people who do, deeply, consistently, and without condition, because when your fire starts to flicker, it's their belief that will keep it burning. That's how you build unshakable faith. That's how you surround yourself with power, not pity. That's how you start doing the cool things most people only dream about. And one of the most overlooked secrets to building unshakable belief in yourself is to track your wins, celebrate them, record them, hold on to them like treasures. Because in a world that constantly tries to remind you of your failures, you need something that reminds you of your strength. Your mind is a battlefield, and without proof of progress, it will default to doubt. That's why writing down your victories, no matter how small, is not just a motivational trick, it's a spiritual strategy. It keeps you anchored, it keeps you focused, and most importantly, it shows you who you're becoming. When you don't track your wins, your inner critic gets loud. You'll hit a rough patch and forget all the times you already made it through. You'll face a new challenge and forget that you've already conquered bigger ones. The mind is like a leaky bucket. It doesn't hold on to progress unless you intentionally store it. This is why people lose confidence even when they've done great things. They've simply forgotten. They've let the noise of the present drown out the evidence of their past. But when you document your journey, you give your future self ammunition against fear. Imagine you're climbing a mountain. Every step is work. Every day you're grinding. If you never stop to look back and see how far you've come, it'll always feel like you're not getting anywhere. But when you pause, look down, and realize the valley you started in is now miles below you, something shifts. You start to see yourself as someone who conquers, someone who climbs, someone who doesn't quit. That awareness builds identity, and identity drives belief. And it's not just about looking back. It's about building forward. Believing in yourself is not a one-time decision. It's not something you wake up with and never doubt again. It's something you have to choose daily. You build belief like a wall, one brick at a time. One act of courage, one moment of discipline. One conversation where you spoke truth. One goal where you showed up when it was easier to quit. Each moment is a brick. And over time, that wall becomes your fortress of faith. But here's the thing, most people stop building. They hit a win and they think they've arrived. They get a breakthrough and they relax. But belief is like a muscle. If you stop using it, it weakens. You've got to stay in motion. You've got to keep stacking wins, not just the big ones, but the small ones. The day you didn't snooze your alarm, the day you made the scary phone call, the day you chose integrity over comfort. These moments matter, they shape you, and when you document them, you start to realize you're not who you used to be. You're becoming something new. Let me show you how powerful this is. I once worked with a young man named Ezra. He struggled with self-worth for years. Every time he tried to start something new, a business, a relationship, a project, he'd sabotage it. Not because he wasn't capable, but because deep down, he didn't believe he was the kind of person who finished things. We talked and I asked him to start one habit, write down one win every day. Just one. It could be anything from drinking water instead of soda to having a tough conversation with his boss. He agreed, though it seemed too simple to matter. 3 months later, he showed me the notebook, 90 entries, some big, some small, but every single one was proof. proof that he was making progress, proof that he was capable, proof that he was building a new story. He told me, I still have doubts, but now I have a record that fights back. That's it right there. Life is going to test you. The doubt won't vanish. But when you've tracked your wins, you've got evidence to argue with the fear. You've got receipts. And that turns moments of weakness into moments of decision. This is why you can't stop building. Not when it's hard, not when it's slow, not even when it's working. The wall of belief must keep rising. Because as you rise, the challenges rise too. You'll need stronger belief for higher levels. So you've got to keep laying bricks, keep showing up, keep writing down the wins. Because each one tells your brain, I can trust me. That's the foundation of real confidence. Not hype, not noise, but history. A track record of progress that says, I'm not who I used to be. That's how belief gets deep. That's how it becomes unshakable. And that's how you achieve things that look impossible to other people, because you've been building when no one was watching. So today, don't wait for a massive breakthrough. Start with one brick. Write one win, celebrate one move forward. Then do it again tomorrow. Keep building. Because one day you'll look back at everything you recorded and realize that the person you were hoping to become, you already are. So what's stopping you now? Fear, doubt, comparison? None of those have the authority to define you unless you hand it to them. You've got something inside of you this world needs. If you can just decide today, not next week, not next year, today that you're done playing small, if you can speak life into your purpose, if you can move with bold faith, surround yourself with truth, and keep stacking wins, then you won't just believe in yourself, you'll become unshakable. You'll do things that others called cool, but you'll know it's purpose. Now go out there, believe bold, act strong, and achieve what they said was impossible.